Okay, so I tried to cross the border, and I had a few issues. Now, this isn't like a regular like travel video or anything. This is gonna be purely a rant video. So I'm just gonna do a disclaimer. If you don't like me swearing or don't want to hear me swear or don't want to listen to me rant for like a solid 5 minutes, then just like exit out because like I need to rant like so bad about this. Um because yeah, I'm pretty angry about it. Well, I'm not really angry, it's just like frustrating. So I just need to like go on about it and explain to everyone why it was so hard to cross the border. So pretty much what happened is I pull up to the border guy. First and foremost, he isn't even there. He isn't even in like his booth that he's supposed to be in. I don't know where he is. So I wait like 5 minutes. Finally he comes and like takes my passport and I'm like, okay, like whatever. And I give it to him and I answer all his questions. Just like regular, regular crossing the border questions. So I do all that. And then he's like, okay, like, can you pull around? And I was like, okay. And he's like, and go in the lobby. And I was like, sure, like, whatever, like, it's not a big deal. So I park my car and I go in the lobby. And there's a guy with my passport. And he's like, yeah, like, are you Samantha? I was like, yeah, like, that's me. And he's like, okay, like, I need to, like, talk to you. I was like, okay. And he he starts asking me all the same questions as, like, the first guy. And I answered them all, like, it's not a big deal. Sorry, something in my throat. And so I answer them all and he's like, okay. And then he like got me to sign this form and he got me to fill all it in, and it was just like your basic info, like your name and like your passport number and stuff like that. So I fill all this info in, and then there's two like questions on the form that I don't answer, and I just kind of put a line through it because it didn't apply to me. So I give the form back and he's like, oh, like you didn't like answer these questions. And I was like, because they don't really apply to me. And this should have been the red flag that like he didn't know what he was even doing. Cause like he's like, well, why didn't you answer like this question? Literally the question was like, if I was a US citizen and I went to Canada, what am I bringing back? Like, how much did I spend on like goods bringing back? And I was like, I'm not returning to the US. Like, I don't need to like declare like how much I purchased. Like, everything in my car is from Canada. I live in Canada. Like, everything I've purchased is in Canada. So unless you want me to list like every single fucking thing in my car being like, oh, deodorant $2.95, oh, toothbrush $1.99, like everything is from Canada because that's where I live. So I was like, yeah, like that doesn't really apply to me. He's like, oh yeah, okay. And then he's like, and this one. And it was like, oh, like, who are you visiting? Like, the name of who you're visiting. And I was like, I told you before, like, I'm not visiting anyone. Like, I'm just going. And he's like, well, who are you visiting? And I was like, I literally told you in the first, like, interrogation you put me through that I'm not visiting anyone. And I was like, if you want me to, like, make a no friends box and check it off because, like, I have no friends down there and I'm not going to see anyone, I'll do it because, like, no friends life. So anyways, he's like, okay, like, whatever. I need to go talk to my officer. I was like, okay, like, go talk to your officer, whatever. And he comes back and he's like, okay, I need your keys. I need to go through your car. And I was like, bitch, why? Like, I understand it's your job. And, like, that's fine. So I, like, gave him my keys. I wasn't, like, mad about it. I was just kind of, like, confused. And he's like, yeah, like, I need to go through your car. I was like, sure, like, whatever. Like, there's nothing in my car. And apparently my face screams criminal. Like, this is just, like, this looks like a criminal, you know? So he's like, yeah, I need to go through your car, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay. This douche takes 45 minutes to go through my car. Now, I don't have a lot of stuff in my car. I have a suitcase with clothes and shoes. That's it. It does not take 45 minutes to check every single piece of fucking clothing and go through my car. And this, just so you know, this whole time, I didn't have service in the building I was in. Like, I couldn't text anyone. I couldn't call anyone. I literally couldn't do anything. I was like sitting in a room. I like couldn't do anything. And there was like a TV with like a bunch of infomercials that I had to watch on it. That's it. So he comes back and I'm like, whatever, like, he's not gonna find anything. Like, obviously I'm not a freaking criminal. I don't have anything in my car. And so he comes back and he's like, I need to talk to you. And I was like, okay, like, well, what's up? And he's like, well, I found something. And I was like, bitch, what could you have found in my car? There is nothing in my car but like clothes and shoes. So, not sure what you could have found. He's like, yeah, like, I found something. And he's like, well, you said you weren't bringing anything to anyone, but I found like a music like box and a microphone. Like, who are you bringing that to? And I was like, oh my god. I was like, it's mine. Like, it's mine. I'm not bringing it to anyone. Like, I told you, like, no friends life. Like, I'm not visiting anyone. I'm not bringing anything to anyone. It's literally mine. He's like, that's yours? And I was like, oh, bitch, yes, like, it's mine. Like, it's a soundboard and a microphone. It's mine. Like, I use it. He's like, you use it? And I was like, this guy was such a douchebag. Like, I just want such a douchebag. Like, he's like, okay. And I was like, okay, like, it's mine. Like, I use it all the fucking time. Like, okay. And then he's like, and I found something else. And I was like, oh my god, like, what? Like, what? Like, at this point, I know, like, there's nothing he could find. He's just, like, trying to make it, like, something that it's not. And he's like, well, I found an envelope with the name Sam Watt on it. And I was like, okay, yeah, like, okay, like, okay. And he's like, well, who's Sam Watt? And I was like, oh my god. I was like, it's me. And he was like, no, like, your last name is Kernick, not Watt. Like, who is that? Like, whose, like, envelope is that? And I was like, oh my god. I was like, it's literally mine. And he's like, well, I don't understand, because that's not your last name. And I was like, bitch. Like, oh my god. I was like, I don't go, like, it's not my legal name, but, like, that's what I go by. And he's like, well, why do you do that? Oh my god, am I gonna tell you my whole life story on why I go by the name Watt? Really? Really? You're gonna make me do this right now? So I'm like, oh my god. I was like, it's my mom's last name, it's my dad's last name, it's my brother's last name. Like, everyone in my house, that's their last name except for me. So I just go by it because, I mean, you know, I want to go by it. And I was like, that's like asking me, why do I go by Sam and not Samantha? Like, I know it's not my legal name, but, like, that's what I go by. Like, I don't sign anything like Watt. I sign everything Kernick, but, like, that's just what I go by. And I was like, it's pretty much, like, Facebook and Instagram that, like, have that last name. And he's like, well, I don't understand, like, why do you use that last name? Like, I just don't understand. And I was like, I don't care if you understand. It's my life. Like, that's what I go by. If I want to go by, like, Bob, that's what I'll go by. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, it's not on anything legal. He's like, I checked all your bank records and nothing says Watt on it. And I was like, oh my god. I was like, no shit. It doesn't say Watt on it. Like, that's just what I personally go by. That's like being like, hey, your name is William. Why do you go by Will? Because I feel like it. Because I want to. Like, it's not on anything legal. That's just what I want to go by. So he finally is like, okay, like, whatever. And, like, literally gives me, like, so much heck about this. And then I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. He's like, I have to go talk to my officer and see if we can let you in. I was like, okay, bitch, like, go talk to your officer. Like, I don't care. Like, I am not doing anything wrong. You didn't find anything in my car, obviously, because, I mean, not a drug smuggler right here. Like, 19-year-old ginger kid. No, not a drug smuggler. Like, I have, like, all the paperwork I need. Like, I have everything. Like, I'm not doing anything wrong. I think this guy literally had it in his head that, like, for some reason I was a criminal, and he just, like, wanted to prove it so fucking bad. But he couldn't, obviously. So anyways, he goes and, like, talks to his officer, and then he calls me back, and he's like, okay, so here's the situation. we weren't gonna let you into the US today, but just because we have permission from an officer, we're gonna let you in. And I was like, bitch, why? Like, why would you even not let me in? Like, I didn't even do anything. I literally did nothing. Like, I was so nice this whole time. Now I'm raging because it's just, like, annoying as fuck. And his answer to why they wouldn't let me in is because I don't have a document that says, that, like, pretty much says, I'm never gonna go back to Canada. So he's like, so we don't know that you're ever gonna go back to Canada because you don't have a document that says you'll ever go back. And I was like, bitch. Like, I like Canada. Like, me and Canada, we're friends. Like, we're tight. I like Canada. Like, I will go back to Canada. Don't you worry. Like, stop making it sound like the US is so, like, high and mighty that, like, I'll never go back. I was like, okay, like, I have, like, every other piece of document, like, you need. And then he's like, oh, but wait, do you have, like, a mortgage form or, like, some sort of, like, renters, like, something we can verify where you live? I was like, you can literally verify my address off my passport, my driver's license, my registration, my insurance, like, all my paperwork has the same address. I was like, you can look at all of it. Like, it all matches. It's all one address. He was like, no, like, I need, like, something, like, with your mortgage. I was like, bitch, I don't have a mortgage. I do not have a mortgage. I live at home proudly with my parents. I do not have a mortgage. I do not rent anything. No. I was like, don't have one. Sorry. Like, don't know what to do. And he's like, well, we need something like a mortgage. And I was like, really, do you? Because I don't have one. Sorry. He's like, he looks at me. He's like, well, how old are you? And I was like, bitch, look at my passport that's right in front of you. It will tell you how old I am. Like, oh my god, this man, like, had no idea what he's doing. He didn't even know what he's talking about this whole time. And so I'm like, 19, like, I'm a little child. Like, I don't live on my own. Like, you know, I may be a grown-up, but, like, I'm still a child. And he's like, oh. And I was like, yeah, okay. Well, I need to go talk to my officer. Oh my god. I was like, oh my god, like, oh my god. So he goes and talks to his, like, little officer, whatever, and, like, gets me to fill out all this paperwork and stuff. And I was, like, so frustrated at this point because, like, I didn't do anything wrong. Like, I don't really look that suspicious. Like, I'm just, like, I don't look that suspicious. So for you to make such a big hassle over me, like, going to California is, like, so unnecessary. Like, so unnecessary. So he goes and talks to, like, his officer or whatever, like, forever. This whole process literally took, like, an hour and a half. It was so dragged out and so ridiculous. So he comes back, and then he's like, he literally went from, like, just questioning me to, when he came back, full on treating me like a criminal. Like, he literally had it in his fucking mind that I was a criminal. And he comes back and he is like, okay, so I need to get all of your fingerprints and, like, not just, like, index and, like, thumb, every single fingerprint, every single one of them. He's like, I need to get every single one of your fingerprints. So, like, I do that. And then he's like, and now I need a mugshot. A mugshot of what? I am not a criminal. So I'm obviously not freaking out, like, at the place like I am right now. So I take the stupid mugshot, like, whatever. I don't actually care that much. But it's just, like, so unnecessary. Like, he literally, like, treated me like a criminal. Like, I was doing something wrong. Literally did nothing wrong. And so, I finished doing the mugshot and everything and doing every single fingerprint like I'm about to be admitted into a freaking jail. And he's like, okay, so we still don't have, like, a document saying that you'll ever go back to Canada. And I was like, no, you don't. Like, I know you don't. Like, do you want me to write on a fucking piece of paper right now saying I'll go back to Canada? Because, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. So, like, he's like, well, you know, usually we let people in for, like, 6 months. without like a visa or anything, but I think for you, like, we need something to say that you'll go back to Canada. Oh my god. Why? Why me? Why does this happen to me? I just don't understand. I was like, okay, like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'll take my keys, I'll go back. Like, I was so over it at this point. And he's like, no, like, okay, like, we'll let you through, like, this one time, acting like I shouldn't be let through for some fucking reason. Don't know why. He's like, okay, like, we'll let you through, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, yes, you will. And so I, like, go and, like, finish all the paperwork and just, like, leave because I was so mad at this point. So I finish everything and he looks at me and he's like, I take cash or credit. I'm like, bitch, you take cash or credit for what? What? You take cash or credit for what? And he's like, I take cash or credit. I'm like, what? What do you mean? What do you mean? And he's like, yeah, like, we charge for all the forms you had to sign and, like, all the stuff you had to do. And I was like, oh, bitch. Like, I didn't do anything. I was literally in the US a week ago. Like, literally a week ago. Got through the border fine. Like, he checked my car, but, like, saw there was nothing and just, like, was like, yeah, like, have a good day, safe travels. It was fine. I was like, I was literally in the US a week ago. No problem. So why you're giving me such a hassle right now is so, like, unnecessary. And he's like, yeah, like, we charge for all the forms, so, like, I'm gonna need some sort of payment for all the forms you had to sign. Bitch, forms for what? I literally, like, you found nothing in my car. Like, there's no reason for any of this, and now I have to pay you for you to do nothing, for me to go to the US. I literally just gave him money to go. Like, oh my god, I'm so mad. So anyways, I give him whatever. Best fucking part of how big of a douchebag this guy is, okay? How big of a douchebag this guy is. Come back to my car, okay? Come back to my car. Open my car. Everything. Everything. Not like he, like, left my suitcase open or, like, he, like, left some clothes out or, like, left a shoe out. No. This douchebag took everything out. Everything out of my glove compartment, everything in every freaking, like, cranny in my car, he took out and just, like, left in my car. Just left it. And I was like, this fucking douche. So I clean up my backseat. I clean out my trunk because he just left shit all over my subs, which, one, is gonna ruin my sub, and two, like, why do you have to be that big of a douchebag in the first place? So I clean everything and I get to my front seat and I'm like, bitch, where is the stuff that was on my dashboard? Because I have, like, a bunch of stuff on my dashboard. Like, I have maps, I have my selfie stick, like, I have a bunch of stuff on my dashboard. And I was like, he took everything out, but now I can't find anything that was on my dashboard. So this douchebag took every little thing, like every little Advil bottle, every pen, every single piece of paper that was in my glove box, and put everything that was on my dashboard in my glove box. Why? Why would you even think to do that? What? I just don't understand. So his 45 minutes of checking my phone was to ruin my car. And that's about it. That's literally, that's it. So I'm so done with this situation, and I'm so done. I'm so done. And I'm sorry if you didn't like my language, but, like, I'm super pissed right now, and it was such a hassle. Anyways, long story short, I'll post a video later tonight. This video is going to be so shitty because, like, I'm not editing it or anything. I'm just posting it because, like, I'm so pissed. So I'll post something later of actual video that I've actually edited, and yeah, that's my situation.